Uh, Grab pen and paper, take some notes. This is going to be good. Little quick bio. This is the short version of Chris's bio. Chris Holder is the founder of $100 million Run Group. He's an Amazon #1 international best-selling author, a 6- and 7-figure creator, CEO of many successful companies. His goal is to help individuals make their first 6 figures or scale to over seven figures from any business and connect with people they are missing in their lives to move them to the next level. I could go on and on with his list of corporations and contacts and everything else, but I'll tell you, when I met Chris at a PR event in New York, I was really impressed. He's such a humble, down-to-earth kind of guy. He loves to connect with people. First thing he did was ask me for my contact information, what I'm looking for, who he might be able to connect me with. It's one of the things he does best. And then I started finding out more about Chris and what he does in the world and where he's come from and what he's overcome to do the things he does. And the thing that impresses me most about Chris is that he has such a willingness to share what he knows with others, and he truly wants us all to succeed. So it is my pleasure to have Chris here tonight. Welcome, Chris. I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to you, sir.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Kathy, and good evening, everyone. Hey, Donna. So it's Donna's one of my favorite people ever. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here. Like Kathy said, when I met her, we just kind of connected. We're like, I don't know, we're gonna do something together, and we just continue to stay connected through kind of everything. And even as busy as we both have gotten, we would all reach back out and it's like, hey, listen, I know, when you meet good people, you meet good people. It's kind of just what it is, and one of the things about actually having a 6- and 7-figure business is actually still being able to connect with people years later, months later, things like that. But quick background for you guys in reference to this specific call, why this was important is I had already written my book, and I was doing it the hard way. So I had already written my book. I put it up on Lulu.com, right? I don't know if you guys know what Lulu is, but Lulu is basically just another place that they can, put your book out, so you don't have to worry about carrying it. They'll put it together, to send it out. I had to get it out, and I sold pretty much over 1,000 copies of my own book out of my car. And that was like my goal. I set that goal every year because I knew, okay, if I could sell 1,000 copies of this book at $20 out of my car, so on and so forth. And I decided to, keep trying to put myself out there. And I kept getting frustrated because I was looking at other people who didn't have my credibility, who didn't have the stuff that I had. And I was looking at them online. I was like, how is this person doing so much better than me? But their content isn't as good. Just everything. And then on top of that, I'm like, they're super sleazy with the sales pitch. And it's like everything that I am not. And I just kept saying, I started wondering, right? Is this what people really wanted? Like there was a part of me where I almost compromised kind of who I was to make a sale, right? I was at that point where they were like, hey, listen, we could take your book, we could throw it up here, we can put it here. You're going to need to dress like this, and we're going to need you to go on and speak like this. And if you can do that, you can be this guy. And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. Like I'm different, right? I believe there was a community of people that would want to hear what I had to say, but nobody would give me the time of day in reference to, paying for anything, right? They're like, yeah, you're good, but I don't know if I would, pay for certain things. And as I was going through, I just continued to build businesses. So I continued to just go out and I built up a lot of successful companies. So I became really good at selling, and I picked that up selling out my car, right? So I was like, well, wait, I could sell. So I started jumping into industries where I could, do different sales. And I turned out a lot of companies really didn't know what to do offline. They just continued to do things online. I'm like, I never built it online. And it wasn't because I didn't want to build it online. I couldn't afford to pay for the internet. So we didn't have that as a luxury in our home. So I didn't kind of transition with everyone. I kind of go like, who needs the internet? I got a phone that'll work. So I just kind of told myself that. But anyway, so as I built those companies, I continued to look at my track record. I kept saying, man, I'm the CEO of this company. I took this company to X amount of millions of dollars. So I'm building this profile. And for some reason, I'm still in the same position. I just kept getting frustrated because I'm like, I did all this stuff, but yet still nobody wants to hear me. I still can't get featured. I still can't. It just wasn't working. And I met Kathy, and Kathy's like, oh, yeah, you just got to be a bestseller. I was like, what? So I met her, and I'm like, it can't be. There's no way that that's the thing that unlocks everything, right? Because I'm saying to myself, these guys didn't have a bestseller, but then I started checking these guys out. And I was like, oh yeah, wait, this guy does have a bestseller. And so I started saying, okay, let me at least kind of start where they are to get the door open. So, Kathy got with me. She redid my book the way it should have been done. Let me just say it that way. And it became a bestseller, but immediately after the whole new business was born, like immediately after. I'm not talking about like months after. Like it went bestseller like on a Monday, and by Friday I was already on being featured on television. It was like immediate. The same pitch I was sending out. All of a sudden I put bestseller on it. It did that. And then there were some things. So I'm going to go through that today. So why are we here? So I just want you guys to know that I've gone through the long run, the years of trying to figure out why wasn't anyone listening to me. And then the next transition for me was me believing that I was worth charging a high ticket. That was the next thing. I was like, wait a minute. How do I go from a $200 product to a $20,000 product? Like, how does that even happen? Right? Because that's what I was around. And I had to make the decision to get around those individuals. So I went to a lot of conferences and I paid those tickets and I sat in those rooms and I just couldn't understand why this wasn't me. And once again, I don't know if any of you guys have experienced that. You go to an event, you're sitting there and you're like, this is good, but I know I'm way better. Now, not to say being cocky, right? You're not being cocky. And I know I wasn't being cocky. I was just looking at the material and I was saying, man, I would be given so much more. If someone paid $20,000, I'll probably be living in it, staying in their living room with them to make sure that this thing happened. And I started just piecing together the things that were needed. And I decided, so my brand is a I help you brand, if the best way to say it. So I created this thing called How Can I Help You? So I just ran around and I just started asking people, how can I help you? That's how I met Kathy. So I just ran around and said, you know what? Everyone is looking to take from people, but nobody's really looking to give. And that just kind of became the thing. I said, I'm just going to give because my father said to me, I could give you guys every single piece, every single step, but you still got to go do it. And that was what my dad said. That's how you want to build. Give them what they need. So you can say, you tried it. You saw it didn't work without me. All right, if you want to come, let's do this, right? Because a lot of times people have to have that come to Jesus moment where they go, okay, I give up. I'm good to this point, but I'm not good in this area. So I'm going to walk you guys through some things and kind of give you guys a basic layout because I have a process that helps individuals turn really any business into a 6- and 7-figure business, to be honest with you. That's really what the brand is. So one of the things you guys will learn about me as you get to know me, if you ever just decide, hey, let me go do some research on Chris, you'll see the number of companies that I'm the CEO of right now. So I'm not someone that talks about what I did 20 years ago, right? I'm the guy that I still get paid on that stuff today. So I've never been big on leaving revenue, like, okay, let me move on to the new project. No, let me figure out how to solidify this project so I can keep getting paid from this project while expanding onto something else. So I learned how to connect all my companies. So none of my companies take me away completely from the other one. They are all connected in some capacity. So my number one selling book is connected to my sneakers. It's connected to my hat. It's connected to the company that hired me to do this. So I found a way to use my book to open up so many other revenue streams because it was the opening, it was the door opener, right? Because I recognized that I separated myself from everyone. And then on top of that, I knew that I could follow it up by filling in little gaps that individuals needed to be closed. So one of the things, if you guys are taking notes, the number one thing, I'm going to give you right out the gate the most important things for you to have a successful business right now. Then we'll go through like the little stuff really quick. So first thing you want to determine is a trust factor. So if you're writing this down, I want you to write trust factor. The minute you decide that you're going to start a business and use your book, you're going to create a course, you're going to start charging people. The first thing you have to understand is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much is someone going to be able to trust me in my current space? My website, my media take. So it's a trust thing, right? If you met you on the street and you told you to buy your book, forget even a course, to buy your book, would you buy your book from you? And if the answer is yes, great. But if you're honest, you might say, I don't really know, because I might look at me funny depending on what I'm wearing that day, depending on the mood I was in that day. I can't say that I could sell a book to somebody on the street just cause, right? So right away, you want to start looking at that. So it's the trust factor that's going to be the biggest difference, okay? The next thing you want to think about is your vision, okay? What is the bigger vision of your book? You wrote it. It's the best part about the book. What made me write my book is a quick story. My sister gave birth to my nephew. 3 days after giving birth to one of my nephews, she passed away. Her husband passed away. Before he passed away, the week or two before, he published a book. And my nephews were babies basically at that time, so they never got a chance to know their father, but they have this piece of material, this book that says he was here, right? And my sister was able to use that book to give teachings to my nephews, to let them understand the thought process of their father, right? But without that book, it was like he was never here. So the first thing you have to recognize is the fact that you have something of you here that can go, it's going to last beyond you. What you want to think about is, how long do you want this thing to keep going? We still use school books, right? We still read certain, why are certain books always continuing to be sold, right? Because the value is continuing to be spread, right? After you, beyond you. So we want to think about, is your book in a valuable position? Is it being placed in a situation where people look at this book as part of the statement of who they're going to be, right? I'm going to pull principles from this book, and this is the book that's going to help me and my kids and my kids and my kids. I'll give you guys an example. All right. I don't know if any of you guys have wills. All right. But if you don't, you should get one. In my will, it says that on my birthday, because I do this now. So on my birthday, it's marketing, but it's also who I am. On my birthday, I tell everyone I don't want anything from anyone. But if you are going to do something for me, buy a copy of my book and give it to someone. That's the first thing. The second thing you're going to do is we're going to hop on a call to check on everybody's finances. That's all I want to make sure is everybody's staying on top of their finances. You're saving, you're doing certain things. So that's all that's a form of me marketing, but I'm making my book a certain way. In my will, it says that if the kids don't do it, they don't get, it's paced out every year in a trust. An amount's going to go out, but it's going to be based on them following the principles in the book, making sure that they read the book on my birthday, and they have to keep passing it down. So I'm not even taking a chance. I'm throwing it right in there, meaning I'm making sure that the book continues to live on. But what's happened there is other people are hear the story and they go, man, this is great. This is great. So the book is the staple, right? That's what gets people in. That's the, hey, let me give you something so you can get to know a little bit more about me, right? So understanding that the trust factor is going to be the key. And then there's a lot of little pieces that come from there. So we're going to discuss that. So Kathy, I can jump right into sharing, right? Okay, cool. So let me just be clear, everyone. I am not a super tech person. So let's be clear. That is not me. I am so here we go. All right, cool. So let's take a look at a couple things here. So the first thing that I want you guys to look at, I heard this quote. I found it. I heard it, and I just can't remember the person who said it. That's why I didn't put the name there. But it's not how well you're doing, but how long you're doing well, right? The thing about creating something like this, taking your book and turning it into a business, is understanding that you're building something not for short term, but for the long game. But you have to determine what the long game is going to be. early. Okay, so we're going to go through a couple things. So I don't want to let me get this here. Okay, so I just want to give you a couple things to look at. Keep in mind, so this was where things were before started. So the idea of my book turning into something else, this is pretty much where I was. I had the book, okay, and I really was trying to use the book to move around. And at the time, my book was I was only getting maybe a $500 speaker fee, and that was mainly at schools, right? So I was able to get into a lot of elementary schools, and junior high schools and high schools. That was kind of the circuit. And that only happened because a good friend of mine was a principal, and she recommended me to different schools. So she would reach out to me. She would tell me, hey, there's a school. And I would just take it because it's $500, right? I didn't really know what else to do. So I was able to send it, but I didn't have any media. It was very hard for me to get into the media. There weren't like high positions that were looking out for me or me trying to get there. Very hard for strangers to believe me when I said I did certain things. For some reason, they needed more than that, and I didn't really understand the web that needed to be created. All right, and then forget online presence. Just throw that out the window. I'm not an online person to be. So I had already shot myself in the foot. Everyone told me. They said, "Hey, if you're not online, good night. Don't even think about it. You're not going to have success." And I just kind of said, all right, well, I'm going to do the best I can. Right. So this was where business was, and we're talking specifically about the business that was created from this book, right? I was trying to figure this stuff out. All right, now once I got everything started though, so I just want to give you the jump to what is potentially available for you on the other side of the coin. Okay, so if you're able to build this correctly, these are the things that are immediately on the other side. One, my speaker fee added a zero immediately. Okay, so if you had a book and your book went from regular to bestseller, or if you just jumped right into the bestseller, I'm just telling you right now, you immediately jump to $5,000. You don't have to figure it out. Don't even act like Chris. Well, you can start at 5,000. It's not even a question. But that's where the confidence comes in, right? You may not feel that you can demand that because you don't know, right? So the idea is understanding your value in the marketplace, right? So there were events where I went to and they say, hey, Chris, if you can come for an hour, we'd give you 20,000, no problem. There were other events where they say, hey, we'll do such and such at 5,000. I said, no problem, because I knew where my range was, and anything that was below that, I was like, hey, it's all right. I'll give you guys, I'd rather do a free session with you online than for you guys to bring me out there, not for my fee. It's all right. And they would change because they would recognize the value. So right out the gate, speaking fees jumped. Media, I was able to pitch myself in the media after a while. That was the funny part. Once I had the bestseller, I was able to send my own pitches in to different news channels, and they would just deal with me directly. It wasn't even an issue, whereas before they weren't responding to me. The minute I got that going, I was able to start pitching myself, which I still do today. All right. So the media reached out, my self pitching went out. Then I started getting offers, 6 and 7 figure offers from other companies. Right. So what happened there is the book opened up the conversation. Then they took a look at what I brought to the table. They saw the need that I was able to fill for them and say, hey, would you take this position? Because now here's the crazy part, guys. They looked at my experience packaged well now. So I had the experience. Everything was there, but it just wasn't packaged well. Yeah, I didn't know I had to package myself a certain way. I didn't know I needed, like, there was a checklist they were going for. And then I remember when I took over the CEO position of a pharmaceutical company. And I remember going in there, everyone in the room was about 72 years of age or older. It was a company that has been around forever. And the fact that they brought me in said a lot. But the owner read the book, and then she said, you are going to fill a gap that we know we can't fill. So I was like, no problem. How'd that happen? Someone from my community took the book to that young lady for me. So what happens there is your book is what other people are shopping you around with and presenting you. And then you just have to do your job and make sure you don't mess it up. Obviously, there's the credibility. Trust factor automatically jumps to 10. Community building becomes super easy. And I always tell people, remember, you are the best seller. So it's time to raise your prices. Anytime So here's something else that I learned when it comes to prices, because I was fighting with that. Whatever number you can say with a straight face, that's your price. And people say to me like, oh, Chris, that'd be too high. I said, really? So what if I told you I want you to come out here and do a training for $100? He's like, I wouldn't do it. I said, exactly. The price. There's a price that's too low for you, and there's a price that may be too high for you. But at the end of the day, whatever you can say with a straight face means that's where you believe the value is at the moment. Okay? All right. Now, take a screenshot or a, just whatever, however you would structure this. But this is basically, in essence, what you're going to be dealing with. You got to have your business model. You have to figure out your marketing. You have to figure out where your connections to be seen are going to come from, because you do have to have some kind of exposure where people see you on a regular basis. And it can be anywhere, but you do need to have something that is ongoing. And then the biggest thing is your retention. Okay. You do not build a community with everybody also leaving out the back door. Okay. So what happens there is, as you're building this, you should be building this with the end in mind. And in my book, that's literally one of the first things that I mentioned is, hey, think about everything with the end in mind, right? So if I built it that way, that means that I would be thinking, what are some things I can do to keep people? One of the simple things I try to do is I just try to check in on people. And here's how I do it. If I think about them, I send them a text. That's it, because after a while, you guys know you ain't gonna be able to check in with every single person. So the minute someone comes in your brain, just shoot them a text. You'd be surprised how that turns into keeping those relationships going, because you're not gonna get to everybody, but you want to keep that in mind. Okay. Now here's what you're gonna need. Okay, so let's just jump into this real quick. If you don't have these things, once again, I'm not gonna spend time because of time to go into this, but these are things that we dive into when we do our actual course. All right, let's see here. All right. You want to set up your LLC or corporation. You want to determine your products. That's important. You want to be clear on what your focus is going to be. You want to determine the services that are going to be needed to the clients you're going to be serving. You want to determine who are the right joint ventures. That's a big part of moving your business forward fast. Okay. And then you also want to start taking a look at what the lifespan of a customer who comes with you is going to be. So if someone comes in, it's January, someone buys a book from you. How long is that customer going to be with you? Is it a buy a book, see 60 days, and then they're gone because there's nothing else to offer them? Is it you have things in place where you guys are touching base, so your customer is a 1-year customer? Because then from there, it becomes one of two things: price, and then it becomes the value per dollar of the customer. All right, let's go here. Let's see. Okay, so I want you guys to also take a screenshot of this. Wait, let me go back. Or picture, write it down. This is your process. So what I'm trying to do is give you this, because this is actual stuff. This is the things we actually go over, but you can literally start using this stuff that I'm giving you now to start piecing it together. Let's see. Give you guys a second. I see Donna looks like she's writing, so I'm gonna give her a second there. Okay. Your onboarding process is going to be everything. Okay. It's going to be everything. And then you want to start talking about, what's that community need? Ask for feedback, right? You want to know, hey, I started this, because that's how you're going to move faster. Your community is going to tell you what they need to help grow. How are you going to recognize them? Meaning, like, what are they going to do for you to send out an email? Hey, let's congratulate such and such for. Hey, we went here, we're celebrating such and such. So this brings that feel when someone becomes a part of what you're creating. And then you want to think about your customer's journey. Never take yourself out of being your customer. Always put yourself in that person's seat to go, if I were them, what does the journey look like from purchase to today? The average customer that comes into our community can average anywhere between 1,000 and 2,500. The lifespan of the relationship is still running at 3 years. 3 years. Okay. And that's 3 years with us still being connected after the 3 years because the friendship has been created. So it has nothing to do anymore with them being a part of the community to actually do something. They could still be a part of the community and just be there, right? They're still the, hey, we have something, and the relationship stays, because you don't know 2-3 years later if they're going to opt back into your process, depending on what journey you're supposed to be helping them go on, right? Now, really quick, community. Do you have one? That's the question. And if you have one, are they active? How are you working with them? How are they feeling being connected to you? And then what's the mission statement? What are they connecting with? So it's simple. So these are things that everything that I've gone over in this snapshot, these are all areas that we help you hone in on, get clarity on, and then obviously bring to the market, right? That's the important part. But these are things you can be working on right now. Because if you don't have a community, then who's talking about your book? If you don't have a community, then who's the book created for? If you created your book, there were people in mind. All right. Quick marketing. Things to think about. Okay. How are you getting the word out? Do you have a team? So that one is only if you have a team. If you don't have a team, then you are the team. So just remember that if you don't have a team, you're everything. Just putting that out there. You are every single part of that. And some of y'all may know that is a doozy. Okay. Then what does your picture say about you? Who's your perfect customer? Is there a budget? And what is your online and offline strategy? Because you have to have both. Okay. Now, one may be heavier than the other, but you do need both. So as an example, this is my shirt, the $100 Million Run Group, right? I have a gabillion versions of this shirt in different colors. Same image. On the back, I have a quote. I have my website on the sleeves. I have my generational wealth fitted cap. I have different versions of that. I have my statement on the side. I have my website here. I actually have my own pair of sneakers that I created, right? So I walk around and people see me. So I am branded head to toe, but I'm branded with people asking questions. What is that? What is that? What is that? So, 1 second here. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna go run and get the box. I'm gonna show you what the sneakers look like. Is everybody okay with that? Okay.
All right, well, he's going to get the box. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat. I know that at least one of you has to leave early today. So if we have any burning questions that we want to ask Chris before you have to check out, go ahead and put it in chat. And he will be doing a Q&A at about 1:15. We're glad to have you here too, Donna. And of course, if you can't take screenshots, you can always use your cell phone to just take pictures. And near the end, Chris will also have contact information, so you can get more information from him. Good to see you, Reggie. Yes, Chris is outstanding.
All right. So let's see here if I can. That's a go move. Okay. So there's a reason I'm showing you guys all this, because these are all things we give you as options in reference to what we recommend, right? So this is the box. So this says the Holder pair, okay, by Chris Holder. I'm from New York, had to get a New York box, had the city on it, so on and so forth. These are the actual sneakers, and then on it says the Holder pair with the little logo. 1983 was when I was born, so that is when I put as the establish. And why that was important is because, I mean, how many times have we gone out and people have said to us, hey, where'd you get that? Hey, where is such, such, and such, right? So what I decided to do was put those things that people looked at the most and people spent the most money on, and have them ask the question. And that question would lead literally to my community and my book. Now, I'm going to give you guys a quick marketing tip. So how does it work? I'll meet someone at a gas station, right? They'll ask me a question about my shirt, and I'll tell them, I help individuals create wealth. Our goal is to help people make or save 6 or 7 figures in any business or any model that they have. People go, oh, that's pretty dope. How can I get connected to that? And I'll say, boom, I have a free call that you can get on. I do it every week. More than welcome to hop on. But to get in, you just have to purchase the book. It'll be part of the book club. So immediately the stranger goes, well, how much is the book? $10. You can get it for $10 right on Amazon, so on and so forth. They get the book. They get into the platform where we're having the free information. And then they get a little banner with their picture on it that says, $100 million run group. So they automatically feel they're a part of something, right? And then we carry the consistency. Now, that doesn't cost me anything, right? But then that person, as I get to know them, because in our onboarding process with a lot of people, we'll ask them the questions. What do you need help with? Where can we put certain things in place to help you and your family? And then that person will then tell us, okay, hey, I need help here. I need help here. I have a cousin, I have a friend, I have an aunt. And that's how it starts to open up. So I'm just giving you guys the quick version of that, right? But when you're thinking about your marketing, that's the number one thing. You're going to meet a lot of companies, or people are going to reach out to you like, hey, man, you got to spend 10 grand a month and we can put you here and place you here. And there's a lot of money that can go out before you ever turn around and make anything. And that trial and error part with marketing is typically what puts most businesses in the ground before they ever get a chance to get going. So I'm happy that I never had to go that route, because I'm able to talk just from a pure, I would like to say, regular person's income in reference to building their brand and marketing themselves. Is how I've built up all my companies still to today. I still have not tapped into learning how to do all those online strategies and all that. None of that stuff I've had to do, because I've been very good at connecting with people and recognizing that if I can help 100 people be a part of a program that I've created every year at a minimum, and each person on average is investing into the business and the brand at least $1,000, well, we would make a 6-figure income just off of helping those people. So I did the numbers based on what I felt my capacity was to work with a certain amount of people. Not that many people in their business plans set a number and say, hey, I'm going to help at least 100, and I'm going to put them in the community. I'm going to offer this product, because the products could be broken up, right? It could be a $500 product here. It could be a $250 product here, and another maybe $300 product here in the course of a year with that one person, right? And you could be offering multiple styled products around the product. So the idea goes back to the business model. If we have the right business model and we create the right web, right, one customer can become 9, 10 customers. That's the magic. When you can get the person who purchased your book to purchase the online course, to show up to your live event, you see how that goes? And then by the time you turn around, you're pouring so much into them, but that one client in reference to business is obviously thousands of dollars. And obviously, as you scale, that's when it starts to really jump. And the key to it is it's not overwhelming. It's more predictable, right? But once again, you do have to put these things in place. All right. Now, moving fast, if you're like, hey, Chris, what are some things that can really get my stuff out fast if I decide to go? Well, obviously, I'm going to say joint ventures again, but I'm going to say speaking opportunity joint ventures. Okay. So that's what you're going to be looking for. Now, you want to create some free value, because the free value is the one thing. And the free value needs there's funny, right? I say free value, but it's not free. You're giving your time, you're giving it. So it's, whatever. But you have to give something that people who don't know you get a chance to hear your value. so they can go, oh yeah, I see why. I can't believe you want people to say, I can't believe he or she is giving this away for free, because they immediately go, if they're giving that away for free, what are they giving in that stuff that people got to pay for? Because that's what people start to think. Because you're like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. And then they hear you got a private training and the information in there you're not giving out there. They go, wait a minute, this free stuff is great. I'm trying to level up. Oh yeah, I gotta be a part of that group at that event, at that such and such. So that's how it starts to build, right? By doing that, though, guys, you get to create ambassadors. That's the next phase. That's the next transition, where you have people who are out there talking about you, putting things out there. And then obviously you create some form of compensation in the middle of that too, to encourage them to go on. So ambassadors would be like your next like tier, but that'd be towards like the back end once you have everything in place, because you want to make sure your products are good. You want to make sure you know what numbers you need to make on certain things, so on and so forth. Okay. All right. Now, I want to show you guys the process. So I just had a visual, so I figured I'd use it. So this is the book, right? So someone gets, so when I meet someone, they're going to get the book. That's the first way they start to go, okay, this person's credible. I can trust this person. But there's still going to be a question mark, right? Because they don't know you. Then all of a sudden you take this book and you go to what we called in and Kathy knows what I'm talking about, it's your hit list. Like where do you feel, if you are featured on that magazine, will boost your brand and business, because that's what people know you for, right? And for me, the two places that I personally knew, if I was able to get myself to the point where I could be featured on the Wall Street Journal and be featured on Yahoo Finance, because I was in the money game, it would be super easy when I told individuals I'm a financial expert, right? Because I would have had someone else say, hey, yeah, this guy's done it. And not me, a credible location that other people looked at, that other people trusted way more than me, that they knew that these places would actually do some kind of vetting. They wouldn't just put someone up there because then it could come back that their news isn't real, right? So I have my hit list, but I knew I couldn't get to these. There's no way, guys, I'm telling you right now, that these two news companies would have even picked me up without the book first. But then from that, now I was able to take the book, I was able to take these features, and I was able to start to reach out to different brands to partner with. So I connected with Lamborghini and Ferrari and Google, the Barclays, because I'm in New York, so I was able to reach out. I was able to say, hey, I'd love to do an event there. Here's what I do, and they're like, hey man, we'd love to partner with you and have you come out here. It allowed me to bring my community to things that they couldn't experience. So I was able to create experiences for my community within the brand because of these relationships, right? But then those relationships started opening up their books, their clientele. They started saying, hey, you got to meet this guy and his community. You're going to love what they're doing over there, right? So then that's where the conversation starts to build, right? And then obviously your job is just to make sure you present yourself correctly. You want to make sure that your deliverables are deliverable, right? That's also important. You don't want to put things out there just because it sounds good. You want to put things on there that you can back. You want to put things out there like, hey, if I told you this course is going to be 4 weeks, it's 4 weeks. If I told you that you're going to get such and such with it, that's what you get. You don't want to change that stuff of in between, because that's where people start to lose trust. Okay. Bad news travels at light speed. Good news is just moonwalking behind it. It's moving in style, but it's just moonwalking. So it's going to take a while. But when they see it, it's like, oh, he's moonwalking. That's crazy, right? So just wanted to make sure you guys just visually saw kind of where your items are. Now, granted, like I said, there are courses and things like that that can be created within that, okay? So for those that are interested, this is just something that we offer. It basically, we do a live event, a 2-day event. It's online. And basically what we do is we go through the whole process. So meaning most individuals that would be a part of this just have a book. So let me just be clear. So the fact that you guys have a bestseller automatically gives you an advantage over someone that just has a book. But doesn't matter. We do the same thing, but the bestseller just makes things a lot easier for you, for your business. So it's just what it is, right? There's a reason why, someone who went to Harvard who might have a little bit of an edge over someone that went to Hunter College in Manhattan, right? They'll say, okay, you're both qualified, but that Harvard tag, I don't know. I think that guy might, and that's just kind of how it goes, right? So basically, it's 2 days. We go through the full Nelly with your stuff. We go through the whole thing. We help you create it. We walk you through it. This is a completely undervalued for what it is you're getting, because our goal is to show you how to create high-end ticket products while also creating a long-lasting community. So the community building part is this. The key to this, though, is after the event. So this is not a 2-day event and then we say, good luck. Now you're part of the community where we're ongoing all year. We're literally in communication the entire time. And then it transitions into those that are actually ready. We have a wealth explosion event that we do in Florida. It's from Thursday to Sunday, depending on the ticket that someone purchases. But what we do is, depending on where someone's business actually is, this is an opportunity where you can get in front of a room where you can get video, you can get pictures, so you can present yourself on your website the way you need people to see, because more people don't want to feel like they're your practice client. People don't want to feel like I don't want to be the first person. They want to know that someone else says that you're good. More importantly, they want to see you in the light they believe you're supposed to be in. The problem for most people who are now starting out is they never get an opportunity to be in front of a quality room. They never get to be in front of a room with certain types of business owners, so on and so forth, to get video done and highlight reels and all this item for their own marketing in the beginning. It takes a while, and some people honestly never get there. Some people always kind of stay in there. So what we do is we have a transition for those that are looking to continue. Hey, there's an opportunity for you if you're looking to grow and go from there. And then we've added payment plans, all variation types of payment plans to help individuals on that journey as well. So that's the quick version, Kathy. I think I took up way more time. I was trying to not be long. I did the best I could. I hope you guys aren't gonna kill me for that. So Kathy, I'm gonna turn it back to you. I'm open for any questions you guys have. I'm done.
Could you go ahead and stop sharing your screen?
Yes.
And someone was asking, Lorraine was asking, she wanted to see the shoes. I thought it would be better to do when you have full screen. Could you hold up?
Yeah. Hold on, let me get the shoe here. Hold on a second here.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see here. So these are the older pair.
That's cool. I love that.
And logo there. And it's cool because, I'm teaching my daughter how to do this as well. So she started her business, her t-shirt business, because of that. She's now motivated to do, she's 6, but she's just a different 6. These kids are different today.
That's 6 years old and has her own t-shirt business. That's too
she's
cool.
not
But I
playing.
mean, I kind of expected it from your kids anyway.
But yeah, so any questions, I'm open. I don't know if you guys, if I went too fast, I apologize. I was trying to,
It was good stuff. That was a lot. That was, especially if somebody's new, it's a lot because, each one of those things, like marketing, it's a single thing, but it's a big component. There's a lot to do. And I love the support element of your community.
Yeah.
And how you ongoingly support people, because like Donna came from your community to mine. I can think of a few other people who have come from your community to mine. And that's the one thing, is like the community is a really big part of the support and what they get and what they do. So Lorraine has a question. She's asking, how do you go about creating joint ventures? Great.
Okay, so
love joint ventures.
So there's obviously there's a super complicated version. So there's the quick version. Okay. Remember how I said find a platform where you can kind of say, this is where I'm going to build, this is where I'm going to probably put my free value. So let's just say you pick me. I use Clubhouse. Okay, I know people don't. I don't know if people still use that. I know people use it because I still use it. So Clubhouse is basically an app-based community where people are giving value on different topics. You can create communities, so on and so forth. But what happens on there is it's not about pictures. It's not about. It's real. You have to have value because you're speaking, right? So on a situation like that, depending on your topic, right, or your company or what you're promoting, you would just find a room where they're speaking about the stuff that you're good at, that you're an author for, right? So now let's just use, I just did an event 3 weeks ago. So one of the companies that I also own is a relationship company, right? So that company, I went into one of those rooms where they were talking about the importance of, so the topic was, how does finances impact sexual performance in men? That's what the room was titled. So I jumped right in there. I said, I got a lot to say about this. So I went into the room, and so it was all women talking about men. And I was like, what is this? This is how are y'all? How do you know? You don't know. So I was able to get into that room. And I just, you have to like raise your hand. The person who's the organizer, they'll let you come up and you get to speak. So I went in there and I just shared value, right there. But what happens there, though, that room had 50 something people in there. Right. So in that, people reach out. Hey, I have a room. Hey, I have a business. And then I got connected to a young lady by the name of Holly, who owns a product company that helps with emotional wellness, this wellness, that wellness. And I ended up doing a partnership with her because we had the education, she had the product, but she didn't have marketing. She just wasn't that person. She was the scientist. She was the mad genius of the product. So what that did was it allowed us to connect our businesses together, and we've done a few events together already. So what I'm saying there is picking an area for free value where you can be seen as the expert you are in the space that you want to be seen in. Okay. Then finding other people who you're a mesh with. Example, if you take a look at this, Kathy helps individuals become #1 bestsellers. I help people who write books become 6 or 7 figure. It's just like, well, that makes sense, right? I'm just an addition to what it is. Now, after that, it just becomes is the price point correct? Is this correct? Then it becomes all little nuances on the right client within that community for what they just were exposed to. But you want to do that. The next thing you can do, now this is a little extra step, okay? This is like the cheat code. So this is like something I'll teach you in October, but I'm telling you it now. So what we do is we say, do your own event, okay? But only invite the types of people that are the perfect joint ventures for you. So you would find, we would say, we would look, hey, let's take a look at your area. Okay, what's the nicest hotel in your area? When do they have happy hour? You're going to go there, talk to the manager and say, hey, I'd like to bring some people over on your deadest happy hour day. And they'll tell you, okay, Thursdays at 6 is whatever. You'll say, hey, can I get one of the drinks that you guys normally make, and just put a name that references my business against that. So when they come, say, hey guys, that drink, that's our drink for the night. Once again, for those that drink, if you don't drink, you don't drink. But what you'll do is, if I was a real estate agent, I would be inviting people who are looking to buy, people who are looking to sell. I'd be inviting mortgage brokers. I'd be inviting appraisers. So you see like how I wouldn't invite me. I wouldn't invite any of me to my event because it's, and then indirectly, right, when I'm inviting, I know people will come out to an event. That's another thing, right? I'm giving value. What are they all looking for? They're looking to connect with certain types of people. So now you're calling individuals, hey, I'm such and such. I'm starting a networking event in our area, and they'll know the hotel. They're like, oh, wow, that's a great place. But it didn't cost you a dime. Right? That's free marketing, right? But you get someone to take some pictures, you get someone to take a video, doesn't cost much, right? And there's ways, we go through that. There are ways for you to find, a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there to work within what I like to say is the normal person's budget that's now starting out. That's the biggest thing, right? I always try to tell people like, hey, when you're testing things out, you don't need to test it out in thousands of dollars. The thing you spend the most money on is your education. Right? Because that's what we did for school, right? We went to school, spend all that money. The education for something, yes, spend the money there because you're getting better. You're learning something that's different. You can take that with you. You can turn that into something. But if you're not in control of it, you want to kind of bring that budget down and put it into something that's more directed at a potential sale. But see, now if you do the event, you got to make sure you got your product right, because you're going to close people that night. So you want to make sure that you have 1 or 2 products in place that are a little more expensive than your book, right? And that's where we start to look at, okay, so if I get, X amount of people to come, they can invite someone, and then it can become something. And obviously at that point, we can talk about online presence, so on and so forth, what apps to use. But that's just 2 ways just that you can potentially go with. But here's another thing. Everyone's different in their approach. There is a system once we get rolling, but your introduction to that system is different for each person. Some people may have more of a spiritual backing behind it. Some people have, I've had individuals that are very earth-based. And what I mean by that is they're very about nature, not about money. And what I mean, not about money, like they literally are living off the grid, but they're running a business. It's like the craziest thing. So their initial introduction to the system of, okay, now what I just told you is like, let me get this person, this person, this person, this person. We're all going to show up here. Before they get to that, there is the introduction of me to you, and then what you can get by being connected to me, right? But everyone has it a little different, and that's just the one thing. That's the originality part of all of everybody here. So all of us are here on the line, and there's a DNA strand that for some reason people believe is not good enough, right? Okay, I gotta be Tony Robbins, let's just say, right? So I gotta change and sound like him. And it's like, no, you don't. You are actually perfect the way you are. You just have to recognize that. But more importantly, you have to continue to show people that by them seeing it on a consistent basis. That's why everything for me, I wear it on a shirt. I'll come up with a saying right now, I put it on a shirt. And that's for the last 9 years, I've been wearing my own clothes.
And now your daughters.
And now my daughter's, because her series is the I Am series. So I am powerful, I am strong, I am this, I am that, and she's something different. So yeah. I really hope that answered your question. I think
we have another question too. Lorraine wants to know, how did you sell your first 1,000 books?
So let's be clear here, right? So the first 1,000 was the hardest, because then after that, I kind of broke it down to selling 100 copies a month, right? So what I started doing was I will go to network marketing events, right? Or real estate events, or I would find a list of, in your area, you can find a list of all the events that are going on in your area, where people who are into motivational speaking, people who are into entrepreneurship, things like that, right? And what I did was I would go to those events, and I would try to connect with the security guards. And I would actually connect security guards and say, hey, I don't have the money to get in here, but I'm out here just trying to make it. I'll give you a copy of my book for free. Would you be okay if I just parked here? And as people came out, I would just speak to them and ask them if they would support a young entrepreneur. And that's how I did it, because I didn't have any other strategy. Now, obviously, every event wasn't a go, but I had the list of the events for the night. So it wasn't like I was going to one event. I would start at noon. I would go to the brunches. I would be in Long Island for a certain amount. I would drive so I would look for where the most people were. And then I started realizing there was a system to it. Some events had food trucks. So I started working with the food trucks. I say, hey, would you be open to offering my book with a sandwich? And I'd give you a percentage of the sale. So that's how I started joint venture, and I started finding things to package the book with, and people who would get the value from it. And then I started learning. Then I got a couple dollars, and that's when I started connecting with companies where I would come into the event and actually have an area. But the crazy part is, sitting down at the wrong event was like the worst thing, because I finally decided to pay for a booth, right? So now I'm inside the event, I'm in this corner, and I'm just waiting, right? And I'm like, I'm looking at everyone here like, a couple people came, but I'm like, I'm making more sales in the parking lot than in this room. And I recognized at that point that if I am going to be inside an event, the organizer needs to be telling people I'm outside. They need to give me the credibility so that other people come to me, because outside, it's the wild, wild west. And they can respect me immediately because of what they see me doing. They immediately recognize the hustle and they go, you really out here selling your book? Hey man, I sold 17 today. I got a goal of 3 more. Would you support me? Man, I'll buy all 3 of those books, brother. I will support what you do. So people recognize you. You see what I'm saying? If you stay in your element, they'll recognize you. Once you go into another element where you are not in control, then all of a sudden you need support to get that going. Now, I'm not telling everybody to run out and go into a parking lot. That, you know, I wouldn't recommend that. If that's who you are, that's who you are. There's a difference. Because the crazy thing is, right, this is the part that I still kind of do it now. I'm just in way better cars. So that's the next thing. I always have books with me. So people always ask me about my car. And I said, okay, here's my book. Let's talk a little bit about it. That's how I still do it. I think last month I sold 17 books out of my car, right? Just from going to supermarkets or whatever. So as I have upgraded, I've been using other ways to do kind of the same thing because I do enjoy meeting people. That's the thing. I love meeting people. That's probably the biggest thing. So I'm an event person. So if there's a live event that I can go to and works with my schedule, I'm showing up because I always say, I know there's somebody I'm going to be able to help. So that's why I get excited. I know I'm going to help somebody at the event. So I go in there with this energy, and Kathy will tell you, I'm talking to everybody. And here's the crazy part. I got a book with a pen and I'm writing everyone's information. And I don't have an app. It's just, and they're like, you're really writing it? Yep, I'm still writing it. People literally looking for it. They got all these apps. I'm like, I can't mess with the app. My phone is old too. That's another thing. My phone's not new. So let me just tell y'all right now, I haven't transitioned. So I'm still as old school as it comes, as they say, but it works for me right now. Am I connected to some genius people with amazing marketing? Yeah, that's what the team is for. But all the time I tell them we don't really need to do that because every time they bring something to me, it's so expensive. And I'm like, I just don't get it. I forget it. I'm just going to go outside and make a phone call. So then I'll go do it. It's like, how'd you do that, Chris? I'm like, bro, I think, I don't know. We're going to have to figure this out because I'm not doing it. So as you start to figuring out your niche, the thing that works for you, your community will start to build from there. And then that's where your joint ventures will come from, especially once you are clear on the mission. See, when I meet someone, what's the elevator pitch? What are we telling them? Because that's what's gonna right away. You meet someone in the elevator. What are we saying? How is what you're saying gonna lock them in to go? Oh man, I gotta get back with her. I gotta get back with him. You see, that's gonna be the key, and that will be some of the things we would flush out, right? So that's how you have to look at it, right? And once again, do people like you? Right? Do people want to hang around you? Right? That's where the relationship part. So there's layers to this thing, right? So our routes it's not just the nuts and bolts of get a website and get some professional pictures and, then no, it doesn't work that way. Because just because you did all that, that might actually be the opposite of what you need to do first. So we try to make sure that for each person that's clear. So yeah.
And I love that. So for me, I meet a lot of people, I've been to a lot of events, and you really stand out because before I ever knew what you did, you were very much about, but what do you need? Who do you need to connect with? And, I was also asking, well, what do you do? And, because I love connecting people as well, but you were just like, let me get your information. And it was just like, it stands out in my mind that you had the book and you had all these names and numbers and you knew these people.
Yep.
Like, the people you connect with, you're genuine. And I love that you teach your people that, because the attitude, whether they go more technology route or they go more like, you're in a city. Some people are in the middle of nowhere. They have to go technology. They're out in the middle of Canada somewhere or something, but you're in New York City. You've got events around you all the time.
Yeah.
So they might go that route. But no matter what angle they come from, no matter what business they're in, you always teach them about like this attitude of just giving, and that draws people to you.
Yep.
And it really is, no matter which exact method you choose, just the basic fundamentals of what you choose, how you do business, how you build your business brings more people to you. And the joint venturing is natural.
Yep.
You and I have talked about doing something since the day we met because it was just natural.
Yep.
And like, yeah, it's joint venturing because I have you on, sharing you with my tribe. I've, done stuff with you and your
Yeah.
tribe. Like that's what it's all about. And I love that. I love it so much. And thank you so much for being here and sharing this.
Yeah.
We are pretty much out of time, but I want to ask you one final question. Just
Yeah.
one piece
Yeah.
of advice for everybody. So for those who already have their book,
Yeah.
maybe they've just published it, maybe they've had it for a while, what is the number one thing that they can leverage that book to do today? Like, would it be podcasts or Clubhouse or stages or
So,
turn it into an online course? What's the number one thing that they should go do with that book today?
so the first thing I would recommend is, if they haven't reintroduced the world to their book, they have a launch event for the book. Now, it could be online, depending on where you are, if it's in person, and I would have a reading, right? I would have a reading of that, because especially if people don't know. So before we get to that, I would set something up. I would invite as many people as possible. Hey guys, I'm super excited. My book became a bestseller. I would like to share that with you guys. I'm going to be doing a Zoom, or I'm going to be doing, whatever you choose, right? And you're going to get everyone together and you're going to have a reading. You're basically going to be creating. Now, I can't remember the movie. This is years ago. I think it was Jack Black? And he was running around with this camera crew, and it was like he was creating his own fake reality show. But it was like going nowhere. And his friends like, this isn't even anything. But he was like, I'm gonna get it out myself. And I remember always thinking about that, because when you do that, you're gonna get it recorded and you're gonna get professional photos taken. The first thing you have to do is your website needs to look the bomb. Okay. And the only way it looks the bomb is if you're on it. I've seen so many websites where there's nothing on there, but the info is amazing. But people forget that the first thing people want to know is there a real person behind that. So I would use my event, I would get the recordings, right? Because you'd be speaking, and I would chop those recordings up, and I would use that, 30-second, 60-second clips on your Instagram if you use Instagram, or on your Facebook if you use Facebook. And those could be your value posts. But this is all from your event. So I would say you need to do that event and then chop that baby up. And that should last you about 90 days or so. But it also becomes part of your pitch when you're telling someone like, hey, I'd love to come speak. And it's like, well, where have you spoke? Hey, go to my website, or hey, go to this page. You can hear me speaking. You can hear, so they can get a sample of it. But then now, if you did a live event, they'd be pictures. They'd be a highlight video. You see what I'm saying? So you can then determine how you want to be presented. And all you did was reintroduce yourself to the book. I did an event and I had 50 people show up. I had a friend that was opening up a new studio. And I said, would you do me a favor? I'll buy the food. So I had the restaurant that I had a good relationship with cater the food, right? I gave them a little something, but the owner was so happy about me launching, he gave me a 70% discount on the food and just said, take care of his people that were coming to serve. I didn't even know people were coming to serve. I just asked them for some food, some simple stuff, right? And there was a theater setup that we had, and boom, we did the launch there. And we made a video, took pictures, and we sent that out. And then everyone who missed it, we sent them the highlight video. Hey man, so sorry that you weren't able to make it. Here's a quick video. What happened? Those people who weren't there immediately now have been left the impression that you're doing big things, because you did an event. You got to remember, every act you take, to the person looking in goes, I can't believe she or he did that. Because in their brain, they couldn't even imagine putting something together. But not only are you doing the event, you're speaking at the event. People came to hear you. All of a sudden, they start looking at you like, wait a minute, is this the same person that's in my phone book all this time? Maybe I got to get to the next event. And that allows you to then start to spread it out. So that would be the number one thing. Is step one, determine the type of event to reintroduce your book to a community. And then that's where you would tell people there is a community. Hey, I just want to give you guys some this. And that's where it's like you're launching your business. So you would have a private get together of some sort. So this way people feel exclusive. You'd invite them well. And all that's really just about the book, but it's Let me introduce you guys to what I'm getting ready to do. Let me introduce you guys to the vision. Let me introduce you guys to the business that I'm doing. And here's how I can help you guys. Here's how you can help me. But let's start with this reading. And the reading is what you're going to use for your clips. And then obviously having those people on is what you're going to use to show social proof. And all that stuff could be done basically for free if done correctly.
I love that. I love that. And I've told people before, like, do a book signing, even if only 5 relatives show up, get an individual picture with each one of those people, put it in social media. People are like, wow, oh, they're serious about that. Oh, that's what they're up to. And you're more likely to get more attention, and people take you more seriously and invite you to events and invite you to come speak and things like that. So I love that. Thank you so much, Chris. And of course, everyone, Chris, how can we get in touch with you beyond here? I know you'll be able to get in touch with them through the Bestsellers Guild, of course. You can always get in touch with me. I'll connect you with Chris, but do you have a website or email you want to pop?
Yes. So let me do this again, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to share it for a second here, guys.
Because I make bestsellers, but Chris is going to help you make that book into a business that's going to make 6 and 7 figures.
Yep. So this is the website, so you guys can get to really know a little bit more about me. And then that's my direct email.
CEOChrisHolder.com. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for being here. And for those who left early or couldn't make it today, we do have the recording that'll go up later tonight in Bestsellers Guild and out by email. So thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you online. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, guys.